Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller. And if you're watching on YouTube, you might notice my eyes are a little darker. So I don't know if you know, but we are 1 week away from my first annual Golden Gala. I am so excited. It's been a whole year of meetups, which is absolutely insane. I think back to like last Halloween, I put out an episode. It was like Girl with Direction. That's what it was going to be for Halloween, because I feel when you are in your mid-20s, right? And now I'm 1 year past the mid-20, right? I think about all the pressures that society puts on you, and how you're supposed to know what you want to do and have life figured out. And I felt like I had tried a bunch of things and I was struggling to navigate and really discover the direction I wanted to go. And that can be hard. That can be tough, right? Just trying to get into the mindset of what am I doing for the rest of my life. And I was floundering. I was like, what the heck am I going to do? And that around that time is when I started doing my Kansas City meetups, where I host events, couple every month. I get gals together and we chat, we talk, we connect, and it's been so much fun. It's been a whole year. Okay. We're celebrating our 1 year anniversary this Saturday, and I have been just like preparing nonstop. I have had, emails sent back and forth with different businesses, trying to coordinate everything, getting my website up, making sure that ticket sales were good. I swear I spent 5 hours trying to figure out why my MailChimp and my Wix website was not talking, even though they say that they work together, and I don't think that they actually work together. Like, there has been so much learning and just like different things that I've had to navigate and do that I had never done before. And sometimes we have to be put in uncomfortable situations in order to grow, in order to change. And so I feel like I've been so pressurized in the last month, just trying to get everything together, making sure that it's going to be amazing. I feel like my office has just been filled with things all around, like deliveries and packages, and making sure that we have our decor, making sure that things will be set up. And I swear it is the anticipation, oh my goodness, is building. And I am so excited. It feels like Christmas to me, where I'm like, all right, like we're almost there. Like so many things have to be done. And I'm really excited. And I'm trying to just like enjoy it where I'm at, instead of thinking, oh, like what's the next thing? Even though like I always have to be planning the next month events and coordinating it. So it's like a little bit of that as well, where I'm like, all right, like we are in November, which let's touch on Halloween just a little bit. Halloween to me is absolutely bizarre how on October 31st, my mindset is so spooky, right? And I used to be a little leery of Halloween, a little scared. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, like Halloween is just a mere 24 hours from being Christmas. No, I'm just kidding. But everybody is like that, where it's like, okay, like it's on the Christmas grind. And I saw a video about, it was a mom. She like, the visual was she was walking to her front porch where her son was a little kid, maybe 3, and she like still had pumpkins out, and she sat down, and like the caption was, or the words over the video, it was like, I'm not setting out Christmas decorations November 1st because I'm learning to slow down and appreciate the seasons. And I was like, oh my gosh, like before that, I'd seen all sorts of like Christmas decor and like wanting to set things out. And seeing that video really hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, like I also want to slow down the seasons. I want to enjoy what I have. And I think it truly is like Christmas Eve is the best. Christmas Day is like, oh, like around 10 a.m. You're like, what else is there to do? Like we've been waiting all month for this day. And then you open your gifts and you're like, oh crap, like what more is there to do? Right. And so I just want to like build upon it where it's more of a transition, more of a season. I had a blast on Halloween. I went to a friend's house and we watched Hocus Pocus. I made these like little chocolate brownie mummies. Super cute. I used some melted marshmallow and they looked lovely. Okay. But Halloween, like it was one day. It was just one thing. And the next day immediately it was like, okay, like we have to get rid of all the jack-o'-lanterns. We have to make sure that we have our fall stuff out, our Christmas stuff, like whatever. And I'm like, okay, like I need to slow down and appreciate that it's November. It is not Christmas yet. There's no need to overwhelm myself, but just like loving the holiday as it comes. But also like there are so many amazing days also in the year that aren't just these like main holidays, right? And so for me, I'm like, all right, like we are preparing for the Golden Gala and I want to enjoy the first weekend in November. I want to be fully immersed in fall and friendship, and I don't want to have to worry about like Christmas yet. I love Christmas. I love celebrating Christmas. I love having the trees out. I love having the lights and the hot cocoa and all of those things. But you can have those things without like necessarily labeling it as Christmas, right? Like it's fall. It's the winter. Not yet. I was going to say winter season, but it's autumn, right? It's fall. And learning to just slow down has been really helpful. I know I talked about it in like a different episode about, I want to slow down. I want to appreciate. And I feel like it's kind of counterintuitive because this is like game time. This is the week of preparation. I have been just, it's going to be so exciting. I have 50 attendees. I have 5 businesses that will be coming to my my gala, and I'm just sometimes you just have to take a breath and think, you know what, it's all going to work out. So this past weekend, I needed to do a little bit of shopping, a little last minute things. I ended up picking up 3 dresses. So my sister-in-law is getting married in December. So I kind of had like the shopping mindset of I'm needing to pick up some more like formal wear and also like needing to find an outfit for my gala. So I went to Macy's, which I never, ever hardly go to Macy's. It's not somewhere I shop regularly. And my intention was I was in Leawood for the day. I taught my class and I was meeting up with some friends afterwards. So I thought to myself, you know what, like this is the perfect opportunity. I worked on my computer a little bit, and then Macy's was, in the little shopping district, and I'd ran out of my favorite foundation. So I was like, you know what, I'll stop into Macy's because Sephora is there. I forgot that this Macy's was like a department Macy's. So there are makeup consultants who like walk around and want to help with your consultation. They want to make sure that you get paired with the right makeup. I immediately avoided that. I was like, oh, heck no. I forgot this one was like that. And I went straight to the back to the evening gowns because it kind of was set up for holidays, setting up for Christmas and Thanksgiving dinners. So I went to the back and was looking all around. I found a couple dresses. I was like, like I kind of want to try this on. They had try on fitting rooms open. So you could just walk in, didn't need an attendant. I was like, this is perfect. Went in. Out of the 5 or I think I had like 7 dresses, not very many dresses, but 7 dresses. I ended up purchasing 3 out of the 7 dresses. Now, the first dress that I picked up was like the sweater dress, and it was marked down from like $80 to $27. So I put that on my arm. I was like, a sweater dress is so good for a fall for a, colder weather situation. I can already imagine like wearing some tights and some knee-high boots with it and just feeling really cozy. It was light enough that I could layer a jacket on top. Like that's the kind of mindset that I was in. So perfect with on my arm. And then there's a couple black evening dresses that I thought might work, and a couple maroon ones. And that the maroon situation, I was thinking, oh, this will be perfect for Riley's rehearsal dinner, or because we are going to be there for Christmas, that it was going to be like this evening big kind of to do at maybe Christmas dinner, or maybe we go to mass if our plane gets there in time. So like there's a lot of events that I could be like wearing these outfits for. I picked up a maroon one. It looked so lovely. It was like mid shin, not a maxi, but definitely not a midi, if you will. So I picked that one up. It looks lovely. It had sleeves. That was the hardest part, finding formal wear that was not spaghetti strapped or strapless. And then the third dress, the evening gown that I got, it is black. It goes straight to the floor. No hemming needed. Like it fit me perfect. It is spaghetti strap, which is unfortunate, but it has like this ruching on the top. It's lovely. It's beautiful. And it's going to work perfectly for my golden gala. So it's like, awesome. I have 3 dresses. The black one I paid full price for. It was like $100. That's fine. The maroon one was on sale, like half off. So it was $50 as well. And I was like, perfect. I walked up to the little counter. There's this nice little lady, and Macy's, they're always pushing the Macy's card, which I have 2 credit cards. They have 0 balance. I pay them off. I don't like credit cards in the way like, oh, this is not something that I'm going to like shop at a department store with, And so I always decline that. I was like, no, thank you so much. She's like, are you sure? I was like, no, thank you so much. And she rang them up full price. So I was like, oh, wait. I was like, I'm pretty sure they're on discount or whatever. And she's like, oh, that's not until tomorrow. I was like, you're kidding me. Not until tomorrow? She's like, don't worry, I'll put it on for you. I was like, oh, thank goodness. Like that was so nice. Like the allure was that they were discounted to a rate that I was like, oh yeah, I'll pick up 3 formal dresses today. Like it was not necessary. It wasn't like an impromptu purchase, but it definitely was out of the caliber. If I was paying full price, like I would not buy 3 dresses for full price. Like I just don't do that. Like I would rather thrift. I would rather find other options. And I love a good discount. So I got the dresses. They look lovely. I'm so excited. But because I avoided Sephora, I was like, I'll go to Ulta. I love Ulta. And I always rack up the best points at Ulta. That's where I get my lanolin lip oil. And like, it's really nice. Usually I love the Maybelline tinted sunscreen. Okay. It works great for me. I have worn it for the last couple of years. The only thing about it is 0 coverage. Like it is a very lightweight moisturizer with a little bit of tint. It helps like even out my skin tone. I like it. And then I use, some under eye concealer. Perfect. Great. Amazing. I shop at Ulta instead of like a drugstore because I know I can rack up the points. There was also a few like miscellaneous things that I wanted to look around for, and I ended up getting, because I had the intention, okay, I have my gala this weekend. I have a wedding coming up. I need to practice with how I'm doing my makeup. And I ended up picking the NYX Blur foundation. I picked this up last year, and I picked up 2 different types of it, and both of them were way, way, way too light. So I was worried about that because the testers at Ulta become oxidized very quickly, and it's just like not a good representation of how the product actually looks because they're kind of old. And I get it, right? Like people and testers is gross. So I was trying to find a foundation though. So I put it on the back of my hand, and it ends up being like this goopy, disgusting mess. Like I tried other things. I was trying so hard to just format it. Like I needed to find something that would work, and I didn't want to have to take the time to return it. right? So I'm looking all around, and seriously, the back of my hand is disgusting because I also wanted to try bronzers. I was trying, because I'm getting a spray tan, I wanted to be able to brighten up my face foundation. So I was like, okay, my hand was covered. It was disgusting. And what I have hated about all of the tester products at like the makeup stores is they don't have any towels or anything to like wipe it off with. I get it. People are absolutely brutal when it comes to makeup stores and just like not being polite, not using it nicely, like smearing it all over. Like, I get it. I get why they don't want to do it. But I went over to the Clinique section and there was like a little try me tester of their cleanser. And I was like, okay, I put the cleanser on and there actually was cotton swabs. And I was like, perfect. Like, I swabbed that off and I did it 3 times. And after the 3rd time, I was like, what is this cleanser? Because it was cleaning the back of my hand perfectly. I ended up purchasing it as well because it just did such a lovely job getting the makeup off my hand. And I have been trying to find a cleanser for so long. Right now I have the ordinary cleanser and it's okay, but I don't like the consistency. It doesn't feel like it actually cleans. It feels too gentle. And then before that I had, which I really, really liked, what brand was it? It was from my facialist. It was like Z, it started with a Z. Oh my gosh. Anyways, I liked that for a while, but like the entire product was like $150. I was like, for a cleanser, like, no. I had gotten it free with my membership. So I was like, heck yeah, like I'll use it when I can get it. But I've been just trying to find something that replicates it. And nothing does as well as the like pink grapefruit Neutrogena, right? But they say sometimes like a physical abrasion isn't as good for your skin. So I didn't necessarily want to use that, right? But this cleanser worked so good. It was a little foaming cleanser. So I picked that up as well. I ended up getting a bronzer. And for the first time in a very, very long time, I got an eyeshadow palette. And I was like, I have not had an eyeshadow palette in so long. And maybe it's all the controversy about Patrick Ta and his little, it's like a duo package of, I want to say they're eyeshadows. They're pressed pearl powders. They look lovely. They look so beautiful. And in 2012 through 2016, 2017, the makeup channels had me in a choke hold. Okay. I loved watching it. Jaclyn Hill was one of my favorites. And in fact, that was the last makeup product makeup eyeshadow palette that I had ever purchased. The Vault. I had the Vault. It was lovely. It was great. And I remember like wearing it to parties in college and whatever. But I have not bought an eyeshadow palette since then. But with all these big events coming up and trying to just like practice and do things, I did pick up like a Morphe shadow palette. It looked so pretty. I kind of felt like a kid in a candy aisle just because there's beautiful, lovely packaging all around, and it kind of gets you in the mood for experimentation. So I picked up an eyeshadow palette. I picked up a foundation, some bronzer, because for the last, I'm going to say almost a year, the last 11 months, I've been using blush essentially as bronzer, which sounds kind of crazy, but not really. Like, I have just been like not doing the bronzer, putting the, it's like a creamy peach on my cheekbones and then like blending it up past my eyebrows, right? Like that's what I like to use. And with the like spray tan, I'm like, oh, I'm going to need a little more. Right. So, I ended up purchasing it all and, a couple things. And so this morning it's a rainy day. Okay. It is dreary out. After my nice hot shower, I was like, all right, I'm going to get ready for my podcast and I want to experiment. I went to try, to see like how these products work for my skin. The foundation, I will say, I feel like it matched perfectly. You might think that I look a little pale and I can't really see myself in the screen. So hopefully I look okay, but we'll see how this like shows up on camera, because honestly, like you never know how it actually will look. I'm going to take a drink of coffee. Hopefully that wasn't too gross. Anyways, you never know how you're actually going to show up on camera until you try. So that's what we're doing. If I look absolutely crazy, absolutely psychotic, I'm so sorry. Did I go heavy handed with the eyeshadow? Absolutely. Like, I am trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing for next weekend and just in general. And it's kind of fun. Like, it is a lot of fun to play with makeup. And I feel like with the clean girl aesthetic, I have just avoided eyeshadow like the plague. And I feel like a little bit of a grown up. Like, I remember my mom had these Maybelline eyeshadow packs. It was like a palette of 4. And she had 3 different types. One type I remember very vividly. It was like blue and black, and it had a silver shimmer in it. And then maybe another color, but then she had a purple palette. It was like purple and browns and a cream, and I can't remember what the other one is, but I know she had 3 of them, and she would just like swap them out, match them to her outfit. It was so cute, right? And as I was applying my eyeshadow, I was like, man, I feel like an adult. I feel like my mom. Anyways, so trying things out, it's definitely different, and maybe I'm just like so overwhelmed by it because I don't normally do it, but I would like to, right? Like I think that when you are putting effort into your appearance, whether you like it or not, like it just like, I want to like it, right? Like it's in the eye of the beholder. But when you are focusing on your appearance in one way or another, when you are taking the time for yourself, it can be so empowering and also so lovely, because in a way it's self-care. And so, when was it? 2 weeks ago, I got a package from Good Molecules, and I was just about out of my ordinary skincare, and Good Molecules sent me a, what was it? It was a niacinamide toner. It was a niacinamide serum. Then, and of course, like they have other things in them too. And then it was a moisturizer, a daily moisturizer with hyaluronic acid, and then a sunscreen. And it kind of was like a reboot to my system. I was like, oh, like this is fun, like a little refresh for my skincare. And I've been trying that. I've had like quite a few like little bumps on my cheeks. Maybe it's from how I'm sleeping. Maybe it's touching my face too much with hands, but I noticed like the brightening effect. But actually, there's been a couple other things that kind of just like all play a part into my energy and my mood. The first thing is like I am on the cycle, or I'm sorry, I'm about to ovulate, and in that ovulation stage, like of your cycle in general, like your monthly cycle, this is like when you feel the most energetic, the most yourself, the most like ready to go and amazing. You're not experiencing like the dip in energy or anything that comes like after your, I want to say it's your luteal phase. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I should be more educated as a woman, but for your cycles, I am in my peak like energy state for the month. I know this. But on top of that, I did an iodine test. It's super simple, but Garrett sent it to me, and it was like, if you have cold feet, if you, have heavy periods, or you have like cramping, or like, there was a whole list of things. And I have constant cold feet, like, and my energy is low lots of times of the month, and I'm listen, I have it written down somewhere, but I'm pretty sure it's like I have high estrogen and low progesterone, maybe, I don't know, but and so I'm working to like balance that, right? And they say the iodine test, like if you are deficient in iodine, that it will affect like all of these things. And you're supposed to put like a little square of iodine on your like forearm or on your bicep, and then see how long it takes it to like soak in. Because if it soaks in very quickly, that means you're deficient and your body was absorbing it for use. So on Monday or Tuesday night, I did this. I picked up some iodine, and I was like, all right, Garrett, we put a square on him and we put a square on me. And I'm going to say 45 minutes in, my square was gone. And I was like, surely like that's, surely it just rubs off or something. Like when you have nothing to compare it to, I was like, oh, like, let me see your square, Garrett. And Garrett's square was still bright orange, and mine was like basically gone. And I was like, oh, like I am definitely deficient. So I have been putting it on like almost daily, just like trying to see how quickly it absorbs. And I forget who it was, but they were saying that you should put it on until it doesn't absorb in the hour, right? It's supposed to last, I think, 5 hours. So I've just been applying it routinely and not necessarily watching how quickly it dissolves anymore. I think I need to get some iodine supplement, or what is it? Brazil nuts? I don't know. But, just to have something that like keeps me upbeat. And I really, I love it. Okay. Who knew like taking care of yourself would help this? I also got some magnesium powder. I've used magnesium in the past and it helps me sleep. And then once I started like sleeping normally, not having panic attacks or any of those things, I didn't use magnesium as much. I felt like I didn't necessarily need it. And so I've been doing magnesium powder at night as well. And it's just been a week, but what I'm saying is the routines that I'm putting in place, my skincare routine, my makeup routine, the reason I don't often wear a lot of makeup is because I don't want to have to take it off, and having a cleanser that would be able to take it off so easily, so quickly, that is promising. Right. I think 3 weeks ago, I created reusable, I have like these little microfiber cloths and I cut them to be like perfect to use micellar water as well. So it's like building a routine to, just really lean into the winter arc. I know so many people have been talking about a winter arc and just like, this is when all of your superheroes, they like go into the icy cold winter and they're building. And in a way, like I've always used winter and fall as these like building periods where I am focusing my energy and I'm doing things that are important in the planning process. So for me, I'm like, all right, we're leaning into the winter arc. We're doing things that are abnormal to our routine that we might not normally do, and refreshing areas and taking care of yourself and making sure that you have a distinct morning and evening routine. Like I feel so strongly about this. And because I work from home, it is so important for me to section off my day and to have a very much, this is my morning routine. This is morning. This is separate from my work day. And I am leaning into taking care of myself in whatever day. Making my coffee every morning, that is a way that I lean into my morning routine. Journaling is a way that I lean into my morning routine. And something that I'm doing that I am incorporating into my routine. And these are things that I've done in the past for sure, but sometimes you have to like be reminded and continue with the habits that you know that are good for you. And going for a walk in the morning, I know is so good for me. Is it easy to do? No, it is not easy to go on a walk. And I feel like with it being chillier out and like feeling that it's going to be a lot of effort to put on leggings, I have avoided it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to have to get up and get ready to go on a walk. I just want to already be walking, right? Because sometimes it's your preparing for the thing that takes the longest. It's not actually the thing. It's convincing your mind that you can do it and that you want to do it. And what I have found in the last 2 weeks is if I wear sweatpants on a walk, I go for a walk because sweatpants are not offensive. Okay. They are not leggings. And when I slip on a pair of sweatpants to go on my walk, I feel like it's still comfy. We are being active, but it's a slower start. It's not a full load of effort. It's easy. It's an easy buy-in, and I'll put on my sweatpants. I pull on my socks and tennis shoes, and it's so much easier than to convince myself, oh, got to pull out my Lulus, got to put on my Lulu leggings and get all buttoned up. No, like I can wear something comfortable and it still be impactful, because when I wake up, like what I value is a slow morning. I don't want it to be like high geared and so abrasive, because I used to do that and I hated it. I want it to be slow. I want it to be steady. And wearing sweatpants lets me lean into that, where it is still an easy morning. And it's not like, oh my gosh, we have to go work out and we have to like sweat and we have to jump and we have to do like a HIIT workout. It's nothing like that. It's like, all right, let's go for a stroll. Let's go outside. Let's get some fresh air. It's not necessarily like the punishment of, oh, we have to be fit. We have to do this thing. It's like, oh, fresh air is good for us. Movement is good for us. Let's do that. Hey, I hope that you're enjoying today's podcast episode. Just a quick interruption to let you know that the Golden Hour Drip podcast has a monthly newsletter. You'll find podcast updates, upcoming events and information, and bonus content. If you haven't already, click the link in the show notes and join today. Now, back to the show. So this past weekend was daylight savings time, right? Like I am using daylight savings time as a way to jumpstart my winter arc. So this past weekend, Sunday, when I woke up, I said, you know what? When I wake up, I am not going to sleep in for that extra hour. Okay. My body woke me up naturally. What I love is not relying on an alarm clock in like the weekend, because that's horrible. Like nobody wants to use an alarm clock, but I digress. So I woke up at 7 and my body knew it was 7, but all the clocks were like, nope, it's 6 o'clock. Do you know what I did? I did not stay in bed. No. I did not stay in bed to sleep the extra hour. Instead, I put my sweatpants on, I put my socks on, and I made my way to the front door. I'm going outside. I'm going on a walk. I am resetting my circadian rhythm to be getting up at 6, when in reality, like my body has been used to waking up at this time. Right. Well, and when spring comes and we fall back an hour, hopefully I'll have like the strong will. Then I will have been doing all the things to practice, right? Building my, integrity? No, building my like muscle to like wake up and go for a walk. Right. So if you've ever read Atomic Habits, it's like replacing your bad habits with better habits and building upon one another. So that's what we're doing. We're building upon the habit of when we wake up, we're going for a walk, not necessarily like waking up early, although that will come. So this morning I'm laying in bed and I wake up at 7. I check my phone. It says 6. I said, you know what? I know it's actually 7. So I got up and I told Garrett, I was like, I'm going to go for a walk. He goes, oh, you know, it's raining out, right? And I was like, what? It's raining? He's like, yeah, it's pouring. And I remembered from the night before, because I went to a friend's little birthday celebration on Saturday night, that it was raining in Kansas City, and it rained when I got home. And I was like, oh, it's been raining all night and it rained this morning. And I could have let that stop me. There are going to be times where you put roadblocks for yourself, where you're like, oh, like I can't do this because it's raining. I can't do this because I'm tired. I can't do this because I don't have makeup remover, or like whatever it is. And I was like, I told myself that I was going to go for a walk and that I was going to use daylight savings time to my advantage, to waking up early and to start this habit of immediately going for a walk. So you know what I did? I grabbed a hat, I put it on my head, and I said, we are going on a walk. And I walked down and back, down my road and back. It's like 1.3 miles or something, like super chill. And I could have gone farther, but then it lightning not once, but twice. And I was like, okay, I'm turning around, I'm going home, because I had like a little umbrella and I was like, I'm going to get electrocuted. No. But I went for a walk in the rain. And I feel like as an adult, like I am not in the rain. I am not in the elements as much. I feel like as a kid, like you would play in the rain a little bit, you would do things. And now I'm like worried about my hair, worried about my, having to blow dry or take a shower or like whatever, like excuses, right? Like just excuses. And I was so proud of myself that I went for a walk, and that I did something that I told myself I was going to do. Because winter arcs, I know they're like super big right now, but I feel like I've always used winter as a preparational time right? There was a podcast by Ed Mylett. It was so impactful. This was back in 2019, I believe, and it was called Separation Season. I think I have listened to that podcast episode no less than 10 times. Like, I have loved it. And it talks about when in those periods where you are not doing everything that you could be doing, or like where you could take your foot off the gas and you wouldn't be as productive or as, energized, right? Like, he talks about the holidays and how people use it as an excuse to like lounge around and become relaxed on their goals and not focused on like working hard, but instead like pushing it to the next year. And I was kind of reminded on my walk about that. And I was like, there are so many areas of my life where I could be doing better. I could be pushing myself. I could be like more exceptional and more rigid in a routine, where I have kind of allowed myself to go lax in a couple of areas, and using the excuse of, I'm not going to wake up early because I didn't go to bed early enough, so I didn't get my sleep. Or there's so many areas, and I'm sure you feel the same way too. Like, you have these dreams, you have these aspirations, and actually completing them is harder than just thinking about them. I love to think, I love to brainstorm, I love to journal and daydream, right? But those dreams are just dreams if you don't have the action behind them. And so I was thinking to myself, as we're going into winter, what is going to be my winter arc? What do I want to focus on? What do I want to achieve and accomplish in this slow season? And I took time to journal on that, where I thought, what can I do? I just finished the Martha Stewart documentary. Okay. And it's crazy because Martha Stewart is not anybody I ever thought of as a kid, right? Like, I did not realize how impactful her magazines were. And when I was watching the documentary, it was like 2001, 2002. I can't remember the year she went to prison, but she also went to prison for a year. So that also, or it was 150 days or 105 days. I can't exactly remember. But for me, like Martha Stewart, I was not in her generation of just like peak popularity. Okay. Instead, it would be like more my mother or my grandmother, right? For Martha Stewart. And if you would have asked me before the documentary about Martha Stewart, if someone said, what do you know about Martha Stewart? I immediately would have went to Snoop Dogg and insider trading. And after watching the documentary, I am like, holy shit, this woman is so intriguing, so business oriented, and just a total boss. She started modeling for Extra Money when she was 15, 14, like super, super young. And she was saying how modeling paid her $15 an hour in comparison to being paid 50 cents an hour for babysitting. Like, think of the difference. That's insane. But also, my first job was, I believe, $7.50 an hour. Like $7.50 an hour in, I want to say like 2011, like 2012, 2013. That's kind of like my first couple jobs. Oh, actually, now that I think about it, it was detasseling for Monsanto when I was in high school. So I'm going to say 2013, that summer. And I got paid like I got paid $7.50 an hour, like nothing, right? And it was hard work. I was walking in the field. I was like pulling tassels out of corn. It was crazy. Anyways, like to think, oh my gosh, like I cannot remember the year she was born, before the 60s, obviously. And just thinking about how she was on magazines as a child for modeling. And then she worked on Wall Street. Like, that was crazy. I never knew that. Like, when I think insider trading, like, I don't know what I was thinking. She got married and she went to Europe for 5 months for her honeymoon. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But that's where her inspiration for food and like seeing all the gardens and all the things. Like, I love to garden. I love to can. I love to be a homemaker in those ways. And I didn't realize that Martha Stewart was the woman who created the popularity for homemaking, like consumerism. And there was a point in the documentary where they were like, housewives were pouring cream of celery or cream of chicken over broccoli and was like calling it a meal. In comparison to, like, her dishes were elaborate. What she wanted was elaborate. And you can say what you want about like the trends and the food and whatever, but listening and watching this documentary, seeing the level of precision that she had in her life, seeing the attention to detail and all that she has accomplished in her life, from magazines to then having her own show to really building a home that she was appreciative of. It was on Turkey Hill. That's what she had with her first husband, and how she got chickens in her yard, and people thought that was crazy. And I feel like there is going to be another like push for just really being a homemaker and caring about the things. I mean, we've seen it with sourdough. We've seen it with like trad wives, and there's so much like negative connotation around that, right? Like, oh, a traditional wife, someone who is like in the home and cooks and cleans and all of those things. And I would never have really thought about Martha Stewart as someone who bridged the gap between, you can do this, and it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can do it. You can do it elegantly. You can do it beautifully. And you can also make it a business. She had a catering business. That was the first thing that she did. She was catering for these parties and she was networking. Like, Martha Stewart was definitely someone who knew how to talk to people. And she even said in the documentary, this is where I learned how to talk to billionaires. And if you think about billionaires then, billionaires at that time were actual like crazy billionaires. Like, there are today like several billionaires. Like, Taylor Swift is a billionaire, right? Like Jeff Bezos. Like, you think of the billionaires today, and while that is still so impressive, to be a billionaire in that time would have been even more so impressive, because if you think of inflation, you think about goods and just everything. I mean, it is seriously insane on how much she accomplished. And then she noted she got divorced at like right at 40 something. She had, let's see, got married at 18, 16, 17. I watched it as I was like doing other things, right? And so some of the details are a little hazy. I highly encourage you to watch this. It's on Netflix. But she was talking about, I want to say she was 40, 42, 45, I don't know, 40 at least. And she was getting divorced, and she felt like that was a failure. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was before Martha Stewart became a brand though. That was before Martha Stewart like became the CEO of her company and had the TV show and had all of these other things. And, her deal with Kmart and like whatnot. It seriously, it was so crazy. And then it was building. And it was like, oh yeah. And then she went to prison, and she still rebuilt her life after prison. Like, she went to prison, and she, like, for not insider trading, which I always thought it was about that. No, it was about like lying. And they talked about it in the case, but it was something so stupid. Like, they just wanted to get her down. They just wanted to put a woman who had these all great qualities and great traits. Like, if you think of a businessman, like, oh, they were stern, they were strict, they had high standards, they demanded excellent, right? Like, if you think of all these things, and they're like, Martha did that too, but we just thought she was a bitch. Like, no, like, she seriously was so excellent, so powerful. And the things that she did by just having a high attention to detail, not settling for mediocrity, and just like really going for it was so inspirational in so many different ways. And when I think about like my life, I'm 26 and I think, okay, like 26 and I have so many goals. I have so many things that I want to do. And it feels like such a hard thing to accomplish, right? Like if you think about, oh, I want to do this by the time I'm 30. I want to do this by the time I'm 40. I want to like have all these things. And to think like Martha Stewart is way older than that. And this past year, she was on the cover of Sports Illustrated, one of the covers. Like that's insane. Like she is, I believe in her 80s, right? Or 70s. I seriously, ages so like, I don't know, but what my point is it was so inspiring to hear all of the things that she had to say and her life experience. And people want to make it out that she was this like crazy person because she wanted excellence. And I think to myself, like, in what areas have I just been allowing myself to be mediocre or allow myself to like, oh, like that's good enough. That's the best I can do, right? Like, no, you can do so much more, and it's demanding to rise to the level of excellence. And so not to like overwhelm you if you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm barely doing the bare minimum. Like how can I get to excellence? Like I feel the same. Like I sometimes think, oh my gosh, like how am I supposed to get to this person I want to be when I'm so far off from it? And you have to know where you want to go. You have to know this vision of this is who I want to be and work backwards from that. I saw something the other day. It was like I used ChatGPT to, take my dream life into actionable steps where it was like, okay, I want this, and this by X date. What do I need to do today to like get there? And I thought that was like a really powerful tool. And although I haven't done it myself, it doesn't take a genius to know exactly what I need to do to get to where I want, right? Like basic routine schedule things like, oh, get up when you say you're going to get up. Eat what you say you're going to eat. Like if you're going to be healthy and avoid processed foods, like making sure that you are setting something out before noon, right? Like that's the hardest thing for Garrett and I. We'll think, oh, what should we have for dinner? We'll have conversations during breakfast. What should we have for dinner? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Just pull something out. And then we like never pull anything out. Like we've made a rule. Like if we cannot think of anything, we need to at least pull out like a pound of burger or ground beef, because we can basically make anything with ground beef. It might not be delicious. It might just be spaghetti, but at least we have something pulled out. So then we're not like, oh, we got to go to get takeout, or we're going to eat like not a whole meal, like just things like that. And so I'm feeling so inspired by Miss Martha, and to see all of that, and really and truly, like Martha Stewart has only been in like my world for, I'm going to say the last 2 years, when she really had some things with like Snoop Dogg. And like, I really and truly just felt so blinded. Like I had no idea. And she is truly an intriguing woman. I learned so much from like, I think it was like a 2-hour documentary. I thought it was awesome. And I loved her property and I loved the trees. I personally have definitely been like taking note of trees. There is a quote by Pamela Anderson, and she said about like when she kind of took some time away from Hollywood, she goes, I had to go back to the place, like her hometown. She was like, I need to be around the trees that knew me from childhood. And I was like, wow, that's so powerful. And I think about my life and how blessed I am to actually have a place where the trees have known me since childhood. Like I think about my favorite places on the farm and favorite place, around my dad's house. And there are so many trees that have been growing for years and years and years and have been there before I was born, and that I would have been around as a kid. And so I think, oh my gosh, like back to the trees that know me, and thinking about, oh, like what about starting trees or starting something or starting a garden or doing something that would be there for the next like generation, or for maybe like one of my grandchildren to think, oh gosh, like this tree has been here for forever, and to be able to say, oh, like my great grandmother planted that or something. I don't know. Like I'm coming to the point, maybe it's the iodine test, right? I'm coming to the point where I'm really taking a hard look at everything that I've been doing in the past couple months to a year to 2 years, and really thinking about how I want to go into the next year and how I would like to set up my routines and set up the things that are going to help me achieve what I want to achieve. And so if you think of a winter arc, and I know everybody is talking about a winter arc on social media. Like, I get it. Okay. It's fun. It's the equivalent to a hot girl walk, right? Like a hot girl summer, we have our winter arc. So leaning into the winter arc and things that I'm doing is I'm drinking water. So basic, but I swear, like when it comes to winter, I don't drink enough water because I'm not hot, because I'm not sweating, because I don't think that I need the water. And with water, I am using supplements. So my magnesium, my iodine, I actually have just, what is it? Purell. Purell is not how you pronounce it because that's the hand sanitizer, but it's Pereal. It's a women's supplement company. And I just ordered a pack of their hormone balance little supplement pills. So those are coming in the mail, and just like overall, like taking care of my body with the minerals, with the vitamins it needs, eating the whole meals, even though that's like so difficult to do. Like I love those pre-made salad kits. They make it so easy. I just have to remember to like routinely buy them, because when I buy them, I eat them, and you have to have access to the things. When you are establishing a routine or establishing something that you haven't done before, you have to make it so easy to where it's like, oh, like I can just pick this up. I can just do it. It's not a lot of effort. Like the sweatpants, I need to make sure that my sweatpants are clean so that I can go on a walk, and having coffee cups around so that I can have coffee. I don't know. Like for me, a winter arc is just leaning into the routine, because I know for myself, I have a lot of things coming up, right? Like I am going to Austin, Texas for a bachelorette. I will be going to Chicago for the wedding, and I'll be headed to my mom's for Thanksgiving. And when you have travel associated with your routine, it throws you off your game, and you're like, oh, like I have to do this or I have to do this. And it takes away from some of the structure that you need. And so when I think of all the times where I've fallen off the wagon, it's like, oh, like I was traveling, I had to eat out, or, oh, I was doing this. And so that took away, or I stayed up super late, and so I wasn't able to wake up and get my workout in, whatever it is, like making sure that you have those things to lean on and come back to, so that even if you are like having to travel, or it's the holidays and there's different food or things that are taking away from your focus, like being able to like lean on those. So whatever your winter arc is, whatever you are doing, or whatever you're preparing for, or maybe you haven't thought of it in a way of like, oh, this is something I need to participate in. I definitely think that this time period in the next 3 to 4 months, like what can you do? What could you achieve? What could you like work on so that it would set you up for greater success come summer, right? Like everybody is so busy in summer and they want to do all of these things. Well, like how can we prepare for that? What can we do now? And I feel like for me, winter arc is so similar to Ed Mylett's separation season. And even further from that, like I've listened to Tony Robbins talk about the seasons and talk about like working in the winter to prepare for your spring, for your planting season. You're preparing the grounds. And there's so many different analogies, but it all boils down to like, what type of excellence are you searching for, and how can you use winter to help? Maybe it's getting up as you've been getting up instead of like taking that extra hour of sleep. Maybe it is not spending as much, maybe around the holidays, because that's so easy. You're like, oh, I need to buy this. I need to buy this. I have to have this for the holiday gathering. I have to have that for the holiday gathering. And instead just like taking a step back and thinking, what do I actually need? And what is just being pushed upon me as something I should aspire to, and that might not actually align with my goals, or might not actually align with what I'm wanting to do with my life. And so I'm just taking it in a perspective of that, and asking myself like my own personal goals. And my goals are going to be totally different than yours, or maybe they are the same. Maybe we have similar aspirations. Maybe there are things that are similar, and you need to ask yourself the question of like, have I been doing as much as I could be doing? And if I'm not doing as much as I could be doing, like, where is the disconnect? What is holding me back? What are the roadblocks I've put in place for myself where it's like, oh, you can't do it because you have to get over this hurdle and it's a lot of work, right? For me, building up the thought of, oh, I have to like go for a walk. It's so difficult, so hard. Like, I don't want to do it. But instead, like, no excuses. Like, how can we just knock this out and get it done? I made sure, because it's raining. I mean, it stopped raining a little bit, but it's probably going to rain again today, right? Like, if I would have waited until the afternoon, who knows how the weather could have been? It could have still been raining. And when you can just get something done, when you can just complete it, check it off your list, you're not worrying like, oh my gosh, like I should have done it sooner. You're instead thinking yourself like, oh, I got all the work done, so now I can play. I'm always a work first, play second kind of gal. And when I can work first, when I can get it done, then I'm like, oh yeah, like my mind is no longer worried like, oh, when are you going to get this done? When are you going to do it? Because it's already completed. And I feel like procrastination free time is not as good as completed free time, right? Like if you're procrastinating what you should be doing, it's always so hard to like get on track, because you're like, I need to be doing it, but I'm not going to do it until 5 p.m. or whatever you're procrastinating. I might do it tomorrow, whenever. Like when you can get it completed, when you can get it done, it's like, oh, like the free time is actually my free time, because my brain is not running 100 miles a minute thinking that I should be doing everything else. So I got my walk in and it felt really good. And then I took a hot steamy shower, and that was like the free time energy. It was like, the shower is hitting so much harder because one, I was cold when I was walking outside and it rained on me and my shins were wet from my shoes kicking it up at my sweatpants, right? And being able to like get in the shower, steam away all the coldness, like it made it even better. It made it even better. And when I made my morning coffee, my coffee was toasty warm. It was like, this is lovely. This is beautiful. This is everything that I have been aspiring for. Right? Like you need a little struggle to appreciate the happiness, right? Like you need a little winter to appreciate the summer. So, whatever your winter arc is, whatever you're doing to just like move the needle further, I'm happy for you. Like, I hope it goes well. I'm trying to think of like a few other things that I'm doing for my winter arc. Some obviously private, 6:30 cutoff, not having my phone, not having my laptop, not having my, my iPad, right? Like just cutting all distractions at 6:30 so that I can work on other hobbies. Should be easy though, because it's dark at 5 o'clock. So it'll be dark and I'll be like, all right, like need to read a book or sew a quilt, or like leaning into those hobbies, because those can be really impactful to like move with your hands instead of just like scrolling with your brain, right? So maybe you're picking up some yarn so that you can knit a sweater. Maybe you're working on a quilt, or maybe you're doing a hobby that you haven't done for a really long time. Maybe you pick up an old vintage Martha Stewart magazine. You try a recipe. Maybe she has like marthastewart.com or something you could find. I don't think her magazine is out anymore. I think it is just her old stuff. So maybe you find some recipes and you're cooking up some Martha Stewart home cooked meals, right? Like whatever it is. So yeah, that is the episode. Thank you so much for listening. I have been loving just having the once a week episodes. I feel like I am much more centered, and I have actually been able to use Friday as like a posting a vlog. So this week I have a vlog. I recorded and edited one. So I think I'm going to be doing podcasts on Mondays and a vlog on my channel of Logan Lee Miller of my week. And it's just like opening up other areas of like creativity. So I've been loving it. I hope you've been loving the longer episode once a week. And if you're needing more, if you're missing the Friday content, go over to my YouTube channel of Logan Lee Miller. Check out the vlogs, because when it comes winter, I'm on the vlog grind. I'm like, oh, this is fun. Like, nobody to talk to. I'm gonna talk to my vlog. So thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.